you had something to say. You know you did. You felt it forming, the right thought, the perfect response. But by the time it was ready, the conversation had already moved on. So you let it go. Again, everyone has a theory about why you're quiet. Your coworker thinks you're stuck up. Your aunt thinks you're depressed. Your teacher, back in school, marked it on your report card like a character flaw, needs to participate more. But here's what none of them ever asked. What if quiet isn't a problem to be solved? Psychology has spent decades studying loud behavior, how people perform, persuade, dominate conversation. But the quieter half of humanity? Mostly treated as a deviation from the norm. What researchers are now uncovering is something far more interesting. Speaking less isn't an absence of something. It's the presence of something most people can't see. Neuroscientist Jacques Panksepp, one of the founders of effective neuroscience, mapped the brain's primary emotional systems. One of them, the seeking system, is the circuit that drives curiosity, exploration, and internal thought. In people who speak less, this system often runs constantly, quietly, invisibly, processing the world from the inside rather than narrating it out loud. Think of it like this. Most people speak to think. They talk to process. The words come out half-formed, and conversation is how they finish the thought. Quiet people think to speak. The processing happens before the mouth opens. By the time they say something, it has already been examined from 4 different angles and rejected twice. This isn't slowness. This is a completely different cognitive architecture, and it comes with something most people don't expect, an enormous amount of internal noise. The irony of the quiet person is this: they are rarely, if ever, truly silent. Inside, it's a constant storm. Every social interaction is replayed. Every word, theirs and yours, is analyzed long after it's been said. What looks like stillness on the outside is often the most active place in the room. Here's where most people, even psychologists and popular media, get it wrong. They treat all quiet people as one category. But there are at least 3 distinct psychological profiles hiding inside that label, and confusing them does real damage. The first is the selective communicator. They could dominate a conversation. They choose not to. Their silence is conscious, disciplined, and often strategic. When they speak in a meeting, people take notes, not because they're louder, but because they so rarely speak that when they do, the room listens. The second is the overstimulated processor. They desperately want to engage, but the bandwidth is already full. Too much input. The noise, the faces, the social expectations. It's like trying to have a phone call during a thunderstorm. It's not unwillingness, it's overload. The third is the wounded communicator. At some point, perhaps in childhood, perhaps in a relationship, speaking up led to pain, being dismissed, being mocked, being ignored. So silence became armor, not a personality, a protection. These 3 people look identical from the outside, but what they need, psychologically, relationally, is completely different, and most of the world treats them all the same, as a problem to fix. Let's be honest about something the introversion is a superpower genre never tells you. Silence has a cost. When you consistently hold back, when the thought forms and you swallow it, there is a physiological response. Research in social psychology calls it expressive suppression, and it has measurable consequences: elevated cortisol, increased cardiovascular strain, and over time, a growing disconnect between what you feel and what you express. Quiet people can carry years of unspoken feelings like weight in their chest, the things they never said to someone they loved, the idea they never raised in the room, the version of themselves that only exists in their own mind. This is the shadow side of the quiet life, and it deserves to be named. So where does that leave us? Quiet is not a virtue. It is not a flaw. It is a language, and like any language, it can be spoken with wisdom or with fear. The healthiest quiet people I have ever studied share one thing. They are not silent because they have nothing to say. They are silent because they have learned that not every space deserves their voice. They choose their words the way a sculptor chooses where to cut, slowly, deliberately, knowing that what you remove matters as much as what you leave behind. And when they speak, in a moment that matters, to a person who earns it, something happens that no amount of noise can replicate. People feel it. If you're a quiet person watching this, I want you to know something. Your silence is not a waiting room for when you finally become someone louder. It is already something. The question isn't, why don't you speak more? The question is, when you do, does it mean something? If the answer is yes, you are already doing this right. And if you enjoy exploring psychology, human behavior, and the hidden patterns of the mind, subscribe to Think Games, because here we break down the mental games shaping your everyday life and we learn how to win them.